My name is Beth Marrett. I'm a disaster program specialist. We respond to disasters, whether that's a flooding disaster, a evacuation order by emergency management, or a large traffic event. Our number one response is house fires, though. It is strictly by donations. If someone would like to make a donation, they could mark on there for Anderson County, or actually what we'd like them to do is mark it for disasters, and that way we could help any disaster victim with it. Well, we actually focus on the full disaster cycle, which is preparing for a potential disaster, responding to the disaster, and then recovery. It's just me over 6 counties. I rely heavily on volunteers. Fire prevention educators, smoke alarm installers, those are two that I would really love to have. We're also looking for disaster action team members, and that's our frontline volunteer who is willing to be called out 24/7 to a disaster. Most of the time that's going to be a house fire where maybe the family had to leave in the middle of the night and they're standing out there in their pajamas. We're there to help assist them to get food, clothing, and shelter. We're currently doing smoke alarm blitzes, where we are partnering with the fire departments and going around to high-risk neighborhoods that we know have had a lot of fires and that we know just quite honestly don't have smoke alarms, and we're installing them. It's absolutely free. We go around with the fire department, go door to door, and we are currently looking for people to volunteer as installers and educators. We give them all the training they need. You should test your smoke alarms once a month. There's a little button on them that you can go and push and make sure that it beeps, make sure the batteries are fresh and it works. People should change their batteries during time change. We change time twice a year. You should change your batteries in your smoke detector twice a year. Now we have health and safety classes. We have preparedness presentations that we give to, we have the pillowcase presentation that we're currently giving to 3rd graders in elementary schools, the Disney Pillowcase Project. It actually is going into the school. It's sponsored by Disney, and we go into the school and we talk to the 3rd graders about being prepared, being aware of the certain dangers that are in the upstate. We certainly cover home fire prevention, winter weather, preparedness, and Disney actually gives them a pillowcase that they go home and they start talking to their parents or their grown-ups about putting things in that in case they had to evacuate on short notice. Well, anytime that there's a threat to Anderson County, that people are involved, the Red Cross is probably going to get a heads up. We are there for psychological first aid in case there were to be some type of mass tragedy, any type of death. We can assist with some first aid, psychological first aid, any evacuation. We help with mass care, which is food, water, shelter. Well, Red Cross always keeps a list of shelters updated where we've got an agreement with the church or the school that if we had to open, if we had to evacuate for some reason, we would be able to use their church or shelter. And we are constantly updating that to make sure that there aren't changes in contact numbers and people who are in charge. Actually, heaters are a large source of house fires. If people could make sure that they have adequate space around a heater, make sure that there aren't any loose objects or anything that is flammable within 3 feet of that space heater. If you know that there's a neighbor that, and you're in an area that maybe the power has gone out, the ice storm has made, check on your elderly neighbor. But even prior to that, if you know of someone who's on oxygen, or if you're on oxygen yourself, and you're hearing that we may have a winter storm, go ahead and call your oxygen provider and go ahead and get that tank filled prior to the storm. Or if you have parents who are on oxygen, make sure they have a good supply on hand before the storm hits. They should have 1 gallon of water per person per day. They should have a 3-day supply of non-perishable, easy-to-prepare food. They should have their medical items, so if you know a storm's going to hit, go ahead and call your pharmacy and go ahead and get your medicine on hand. Flashlight, extra batteries, battery-powered or hand-cranked radio, copies of personal documents, a cell phone with chargers, and family and emergency contact numbers. Of course, redcross.org has lists of things that if you'd like to be prepared beforehand, you can download those lists on that website. But there are also preparedness apps. We have a first aid app, which is very helpful if you've burned yourself and you want to know what to do on the short term. And then there's a winter weather app that you can download. We sent many Anderson volunteers down to help assist. So we immediately deployed. After it missed us, we had to hold them until we saw where it was going to hit. After it missed us, in the next 24, 48 hours, we deployed Anderson volunteers down to the lower part of the state. And in turn, those that stayed behind really had to step up and cover the house fires and the disasters that were still ongoing here. Well, actually, you should practice a fire escape plan. Actually do fire drills with your kids. Plan 2 escape routes out of each of their rooms. So go into their bedroom and pick out how would you get out of this room in case there were a fire. And sit down and make sure that they know how to do that. Make sure they know that to get low and go. We suggest that each family, when you're going over this plan with your family, pick out a meeting place that is away from the house, but that is still visible to the house, that you know that you can go meet, and so that you can account for all of the family members. We certainly don't want you going back into the house for anything, for any reason. You know, the most important thing is that you get out safely. So you get out, let the fire department know that you have pets in the home, and they know where to go look for the pets. Nothing is worth your life.